Hi guys, so I'm back, obviously, and I just wanted to let you guys know that I made a video a couple days ago that I was gonna post, and then I decided not to post it because it was like, 7 minutes long of me basically just saying that I had made like 8 or 9 videos and I uploaded them and everything and was editing them, and then I realized that you have to hold your camera a certain way when you're using an iPhone. You have to hold it like this, like sideways, because if you don't, when it shows up on the computer, you see the video and then there's just black on the side and it looks really stupid. So I just ended up deleting them, and then I felt like shit because, I promised like a couple months ago I would start making more videos and I still haven't. So here I am. So I thought I would make a video today about something that is completely scary to me. I don't like talking about this kind of stuff at all, especially when I'm sitting alone in my house and it's the middle of the day and everything, but it's fucking creepy because this shit has happened to me in the day. So let's just jump right into it. It's all my ghost stories, and yeah, I'm already like kind of jittery, and so I'm really nervous. And because I'm such a detail-oriented person, when it comes to telling stories, I might even make this into 2 videos, just because I don't want you guys sitting here hearing all my scary stories for like the next hour. But here goes. The first ghost story I have, I didn't really realize that it was a ghost at the time. It was kind of just like, okay, that happened. Let's not talk about that. But we had just moved to a new town, and it was the middle of the summer, and I've always had insomnia, and I wasn't doing very good. Like, I couldn't sleep. But like, I would catch myself falling asleep like midday, like for, like an hour or so. And then at night, I would sleep like maybe like 2-3 hours. And it got worse if there was stress or like pressure around me, if that makes sense. So anyways, in the middle of summer, I am sleeping in my backyard, and I'm only like maybe 11, maybe 12, somewhere in that age range. And I've got my tent out, and I decided to just like, sleep in there because I didn't really like my room. I just got weird vibes from it, and so I wanted to sleep in the backyard with all the crazies. So I was just like reading a book out there, it was back before I even knew what internet was. So I didn't have a phone or like a laptop or, no social connection to anything. So I spent a lot of time just on my own, and I fell asleep reading a book, Nancy Drew to be exact. I was a big Nancy Drew fan. I fell asleep reading a book, and I knew I fell asleep, but then I kind of woke up, but I was in like this unconscious state where I knew I was like in the midst of waking up, but I wasn't fully there yet. And everything just felt like very surreal. Like I couldn't distinguish between whether it was a dream or whether it was, reality. And I remember, like, at one point in my brain, I could like see myself sleeping there, and that's when it got kind of confusing. So I'm just like, am I dreaming right now, or did I just die? It was really weird. And being only like 11 or 12, you're just kind of like, I don't know what just happened. And so like as I'm becoming more conscious, I'm hearing whispers, and the whispers I couldn't understand. They were just whispers, and very indistinct. And like as I became more conscious, they became louder, and eventually they just start, like all of them, like there were so many different voices. And then like at one point, like as they got louder, they all just like stopped, and it was dead silent. And then they just all started screaming, like screaming. And I woke up and I'm just like, oh shit, like kind of thing. I'm just like, what just happened? And that was like, it wasn't really a ghost encounter, but it kind of spills into other experiences that I've had at that house that I came to realize. Like, I didn't think anything of it at first. I didn't think it was a ghost or anything like that. But then when they started happening more often, I was like, okay. So then after that, like, again, being at that age, I didn't think anything of it, and I didn't tell anyone about it. I just thought, I mean, it's just one of those dreams, right? It's kind of reminded me of those dreams when you're like falling, and then right before you hit the ground, or right as you hit the ground, you wake up. And yeah, so I didn't tell anyone because I thought like my brother would have just laughed at me. My mom would have been like, oh cool, did you sleep? But yeah, and I just remembered that wasn't even my first ghost encounter. But I'll put that into another video because I kind of want to continue with this one. So then after that, not too long after, I don't know when it was. I have no idea when it was, but I do remember that I was keeping a journal at the time. I was really into journaling and writing down my thoughts and everything that was happening, just because so many things were changing around me all the time. Like the change was just constant, and the only way I could keep up with it was to write it all down. And one night I was up really late. It was like 2-3 o'clock in the morning or something like that. And I had some music playing, and I was reading, kind of doodling. Like I was just doing like a whole bunch of stuff. Like part of me, like some of the time, like I was cleaning my room. Some of the time I was reading. Some of it I was like writing or doodling or something. But eventually I just said, you know what? It's kind of early. I should go to bed. I have school in the morning. And so I went to bed, and I just kind of laid there and 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 laid there. And I wasn't falling asleep, but eventually I did. And it was like the tent scene all over again, because I was in that state where I was unconscious, but subconsciously, still sleeping-ish. And as I was becoming more conscious, I was hearing like the rustling of beads. Like I used to have those beads that you would hang up in the door frame. I was really into those back at the old house. But when I moved there, I was like, no, like I'm a grown up now. Get rid of these. So I didn't have any. So I didn't understand. Like as I'm becoming more conscious, I'm hearing these beads, and as I'm waking up more, they're becoming like, they're being rustled louder and like more. Like at first it was just kind of like a little bit, like a little rustling, if that makes sense. And then as I was waking up, it became like more intense and more louder, until, and it wouldn't stop. Like it just kept going. And sometimes it would go really loud, and sometimes it would, kind of be just like in the background. But I eventually, like I knew that I was awake, but I couldn't move. Like I felt like, I remember I was laying like this, like I had my arm behind my back and like my other arm just kind of like laying out, probably over the side of my bed, I don't know, but like I couldn't move, and it honestly felt like I was just like sewn to the bed, because I remember I could move my head, like my head could, like I couldn't move it a whole lot, but I could like kind of turn it, and when I turned to the side, I remember, I couldn't see something there, but I felt something. I felt a male there, if that makes, like, I couldn't tell if it was a little boy, if it was like a teenager or an older guy. I just felt like a man or a boy standing or kneeling beside my bed, and instantly I was terrified. Like more terrified than I was, because like here I am just like stuck in this position, and I'm hearing these beads that I don't own anymore, and I have like this terrible feeling that there's something here with me that I can't see. It's pitch black, but since it's like the wee hours of the morning, I can kind of see what, like I can make out like my dresser or my bedroom door, that kind of thing, because the sun is slowly coming up, and I believe the street lights were probably still on. And I remember inside, I didn't actually freak out, if that makes sense. Like I didn't freak out until after. I was very calm, but I felt something terrible like in my gut, and it wasn't good. And I remember just like forcing my head to look directly at what I knew, like to the direction that I knew something was standing or kneeling there. And then I like stared until, I don't know how long, like I just stared and trying to make out whatever was there, and like trying to figure out like what is happening to me. Like I couldn't move, like my whole body, like I was just stuck, and I tried so hard, and like I couldn't even tense my muscles, like I just felt like numb. But then I remember I don't know what it was, I don't know how, because I like 100% could not move. And like I said, I didn't even feel like I had muscles to do the motions. But somehow I moved this arm, like that was behind my head, over and like put it facing towards this person or whatever it was. Because I was going to just face it. Like I was just going to be like, what do you want? And then I remember I just went like that, and I just like completely flipped over, and I was like, ugh, kind of thing. And I just flipped over, and the second I flipped over, it was like this pressure that I didn't even realize that was on my chest and on my shoulders and like on my stomach, like this pressure that was on me just like lifted off. I didn't even realize it was there until it was gone. And I didn't even realize, but I wasn't really breathing that whole time until after, when I was like, holy fuck, I'm out of breath, kind of thing. And yeah, it was very scary. After that, I kind of just laid there, because the second that I like twisted over and made that grunting noise, the sounds of these beats just stopped, like dead silent. They just stopped, and I was like I just kind of like laid there, and I almost started crying. So I'm just like that was a really fucked up dream. Like this is why I don't sleep, because like I'm scared of this stuff. And I was very scared. And at first, like I just kind of laid there, like what the fuck just happened to me. And then after a few moments, like I'm just like, I gotta turn the lights on. Like what am I doing here in the dark? And so like I jumped up and I went and turned the light on, and after that, like, I remember I just sat up in my bed and, like, I just, like, stared. Like, I just looked around my room, like, waiting for something to, like, pop out. And, like, obviously I checked my closet and, like, under my bed and, yeah. Yeah. So then I sat up and I took out my journal, and I remember, like, a lot of my ghost stories, a lot of them I don't really remember. All I know is that they've happened, and I can feel that these things have happened to me, but I think if I don't, like, record it in the moment or the second it's over, pieces of it will be forgotten. And so that's what I thought. And I pulled out my journal and I wrote down everything. Like, I just documented everything. Like, everything I felt, everything that I saw or thought I saw, everything I heard, and, just everything. I wrote from the beginning to the end. And as I'm writing, I'm reading it out loud. And then at one point, when I said that it felt like a male figure, I remember, and this is when I shut up, because I'm just like, I'm not reading this out loud anymore, something's still in here. At one point, though, when I said that it felt like a male figure, actually, maybe I still have the paper. If I have the journal, I'm going to read it to you guys, because it was pretty scary. But, like, as I wrote and read out that it felt like a male figure, I looked up, and I looked in a direction, like, I just looked over to the corner of my room, and my door's over here. I looked to the corner of my room, and I didn't see anything, but I heard footsteps. Like, I heard, like, and they weren't slow, they weren't fast, they were just, like, normal footsteps. And, like, I just, like, I couldn't see anyone, I couldn't see where the footsteps were. I just, like, followed where, like, I just knew where these footsteps were, and it just, like, walked to my door, and then they were gone. And I still didn't feel alone, so I was just kind of like, all right, well, one of them's gone, but its family's still here, so I'm just gonna shut up and hope I didn't just piss them off. And yeah, so I just I wrote it, I kept writing though, I just didn't read it out loud, and I sat up for the rest of the night with my light on. And then I don't know if my mom remembers this, but, like, I've told her this story, like, so many times, and, like, at first, like, she was just kind of like, really? But I don't know, maybe now she believes me, but it was really scary. So I believe, like, I did some research on it, and I believe it was a form of sleep paralysis, and it was really scary. Like, it was, I don't even know how to explain it. And, like, I can feel the pressure on my chest again, like it's happening all over. I try not to hold grudges, and I don't hate a whole lot of people. Not very many, just like one or two. Just kidding. I don't hate very many people at all. And even the people I don't like, I don't hate. But I would never wish that upon anyone, because, like, you don't even, it's so hard to explain, because, like, every day you're just, like, you're living your life, you're in your body. So then when something happens where you don't feel connected to your body, where your brain doesn't connect with your body, and something else is controlling you, and something else is holding you back from what you want, and, like, everything is just, like, chaos around you, it's terrifying. And I truly believe that I've always believed in ghosts. Like, I've always kind of felt them, but I didn't feel like they could hurt me, and I never felt like they could affect me at all until things like that happened to me. And so I truly, with all of my being, believe that nobody will believe this story until similar things or, stuff like this has happened to you. And so I don't expect anyone to believe this. I just thought it would be an interesting story to share with you guys as my little gift. So yeah, that was my little piece. I have so many more stories, and some of them are so unbelievably scary, and some of them are just like, really, how did I not know that was a ghost? Holy shit. But yeah, this video is already like 20 minutes, and so I should probably just chill. Yeah, I'll make this part 1, and I'll release more stories. Don't do what I did. I was like a very, not angry child, but since I was always alone, like it was just like, I remember I asked ghosts to come towards me, and like I asked for ghosts to be my friend because I was a loner child. I didn't have anyone. I didn't talk to my mom as much as I could have. My sister didn't live with me, and my brothers, I don't talk to my brothers, like, what? And like the friends that I did have, like, they were kind of just like, I didn't feel the connection with them enough to like share these things with them, or a connection to share anything with them. Like it was just, someone to hang out with at recess kind of thing. Like, I didn't want to be alone all the time. But yeah, I remember sitting in my bed one day, and I just got yelled at because I was up late again, but I couldn't sleep. Like I could never sleep. And I came to realize that the reason why I couldn't sleep was because I knew these things were gonna happen to me, and I was scared. And I just got yelled at by my stepfather. Oh, that scared the fuck out. It was just my lighter. But fuck. But yeah, I just got yelled at by my stepdad because he wanted me to get some sleep, and I was like, I was 10 or 11 or 12 or whatever, and when they yell at you, it's kind of like, screw you, like, I can't go to bed, like, what am I supposed to do, fall asleep? Yeah, it's not happening. And so I was just angry, and I remember like turning off the light and just sitting in bed and being like, I didn't cry, but I just remember like speaking and saying like, I feel really alone, and I feel alone all the time, but every day I feel more alone, and I feel like I'm becoming just a void or an afterthought to people, like I don't really mean anything. And I remember just like, for some reason I just like put out my hand, and I was just like just, can you be my friend kind of thing? And my hand went cold, and it's the middle of summer. My room is typically boiling hot, which I hated, but the rest of me was warm, but my hand went like ice cold, and I was like, holy shit, I just made a friend kind of thing. But I didn't, and like I think this is where I fucked up, because I didn't say, I don't even know if I did anything. Like, honestly, I'm just telling you, like, what I've done. But, I don't know if this affects anything, but I didn't, like, do any rituals or anything like that. Like, I just asked this thing that I could feel around me at all times to be my friend. I didn't know if it was good or bad. I had a feeling that it was good, but I had a feeling it was also, like, a prankster, if that makes sense. Like, if they knew that I knew that it was around, then it would like play with me and like joke around with me, if that makes sense. And I didn't even care. Like, I liked it. Like, I was friends with a ghost. And I thought it was like the coolest thing. Like, I went to school, and I would come home and I would sit in my room and I'd talk to this thing that I could feel there. would tell it all about my day. I would tell it about the people that had pissed me off, or, you know, I'm so stressed about schoolwork. I don't understand how this fucking math equation works. Like, nobody would explain it to me, and, like, you know, kind of thing. And, like, yeah. And then eventually I just stopped talking because I realized that it was really fucking weird, and that nobody likes a girl that talks to ghosts. And, yeah. And to this day, I still feel like, I don't feel it here in this house, but whenever I go back to my old house, like to where my mom lives, and I sleep in my old bedroom where these things have happened, I can still feel it, and I'll still talk to it. It's the weirdest thing. And, like, I don't feel like it's a bad thing, and it never plays jokes on me anymore, but it's like, now I'm hearing footsteps. Are you fucking kidding me? This is why I'm scared of this shit. I'm gonna have nightmares tonight. But anyways, so, yeah, whenever I go back there, it's like, I don't feel terrible. I don't feel like, I feel like I'm being watched, but it's not like, you know, I need to, you know, leave because I'm being watched. It, like, I feel very comfortable there, if that makes sense. So yeah, that was, I do have more stories, but for right now, I think, you know, this video is turning into 30 minutes, so I only wanted this to be like 10 minutes. But whatever. I hope you guys enjoyed, and yeah, comment below and let me know if you want to hear the rest of my ghost stories. And yeah, I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. I'm slowly losing my voice, and yeah, thanks for listening, guys. Hey guys, so I found the diary entry that I was talking about for the regarding the ghost story that I just videotaped, and I wanted to share it with you. Just a quick side note though, I gotta plug my phone in, sorry. Okay, so yes, I trust my computer. Just a quick side note though, I don't expect this diary entry to be proof to you guys that this stuff has happened to me. I don't expect people to believe my story or the stories. I want it to okay. I just want it to, it's not proof, but it's more just more depth, I guess. So I wrote this September 21st, 2010. So I was 11 at the time. We had only been living there since March, so and I was in school. I thought it was in the middle of summer, but I guess not. Yeah, I was actually a little worried that I wouldn't have this anymore because this is a really old journal, and I wrote some pretty bad things in them, and after I kind of grew up from that kind of phase of being sad, I covered it all up with like magazine cutouts and, you know, that kind of stuff, and just like drawings and whatnot. And yeah, so yeah, I was a little worried that I had covered this story up, but I found it. It's still here, and I'm glad because, you know, it doesn't give proof, but it's something. So, Dear Diary, this entry is a continuation of the first entry in this book. That ghost I saw in my room was real. I know it is. I did some research on it, and I found that when a ghost is present, the room temperature drops. When you see them, you think you know everything on the outside and will remember everything. but I've noticed that my writing is so terrible. I can't get over it. Wow. And will remember everything, but I've noticed that when I see him, I knew it was a boy. I suddenly forget to take notes about his appearance, but then I wrote them. But then later, when I'm thinking about it, I only see pieces. I feel blind, scared too. I was sleeping in my bed. I remember I was having a weird dream. I don't remember all of it, but it was strange. I was watching myself as if I was a bystander or something, and then I heard a jingling sound, a constant jingling sound. I then woke up, but it was like I couldn't move. I felt like I was stuck to my bed, and my fingers were ice cold, and my eyes were wide, lips were trembling, and my heart was pounding. I was able to look over, turn my face enough to see something. I couldn't see it entirely, but it felt as though something was there, and it felt like a boy. Frightened, I found enough strength to turn my body to face this figure. After a few moments of laying there, the jingling did not stop, and I was able to conjure up enough strength to let out a moan and throw my arms away from the figure. The jingling stopped, and my body came back to me. I felt a release off of my chest, and although I felt cold and weak, I jumped up and switched on the lights, and for the next few hours that I had left of the night, I sat upright and stared, expecting for someone to jump out at me. I stayed like that until the sun came up and it was time to get ready for school. But I remember one thing. When I woke up from the dream, I could hear hushed whispering, like the time that I was sleeping in the tent a few months ago, which grew louder and louder as I came to my senses. I jumped into consciousness, and then I wrote, "Why do things like this always happen to me? You know how people say they wish they could see a ghost? Well, when they wish for it, they don't specify it to be good or bad. I wished for it once, but regret not mentioning good or bad. As I was writing this, I was saying it out loud. And when I started saying, hold on, computer almost shut off. When I started saying it felt like a boy, a noise that sounded like someone was walking across my room toward me happened. Then I felt deathly cold. I opened my mouth to say something, but for some strange, scary reason, I forgot why I had opened my mouth in the first place, and relief seemed to flood through me. And that's when I stopped talking, and that's when I stopped writing. And yeah, so that is the diary entry for that ghost story. I don't think I've ever written another ghost story on paper, so my other ghost stories won't have anything like this. I think I was just really, like, I couldn't sleep and I didn't know what else to do, and at the time, since I was writing all the time, I think I thought it would make me feel better, but and yeah. I wrote a lot of weird stuff. Ooh, that's a good song. And I wrote to my guidance counselor. I'm gonna have to read some of this stuff. Apparently, I was a writer. But anyways, maybe one day I'll make a video about all the diary entries I've ever done. A lot of them are quotes from books or lyrics, but some of it, this big chunk, is all diary entries, and I'm kind of want to read them now. But yeah, so that was my ghost story. Comment below if you've ever had a ghost story, and I'd love to read them. I know that these things are real to me. I don't expect anyone else to believe them. But yeah, thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye. So I know I said goodbye and all, but I was talking to my friend Austin, and yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out to him for being, you know, freaking awesome. 10 points to you, and level up to level 52.